Welcome to the Cringer of Creators and an Orco of the Arts, your moderator of the universe, Kevin Smith.
Welcome to Comic-Con, kids, or as some people are calling it this year, Comic-Cant. I'm happy to report that thanks to the SAG strike, I am the most famous person here this year. But enough about me, let's talk about Motu, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're going to talk about, Masters of the Universe. Did you like our clip? Spoilers, in the very next few seconds of that scene, He-Man is killed.
What?
In fact, everyone is killed, and Teela replaces all of them. Thank you for being here, man. We're going to chit-chat about Revolution, which we've been working hard on. Sorry, that sounded weird. We've been working on. Let's just leave it at that. For a while now, and y'all are going to be able to see it quite soon. I'm super proud of it. But I was super proud of the last one too. And the internet told me I shouldn't be. So when they asked me, like, you want to host the panel? I was like, does it come with Kevlar? Because I took a lot of shit. But I'm not here alone. We were supposed to be here with a bunch of actors. Naturally, as I'm sure most people have heard, the actors are on strike. So they're not going to be joining us. They wanted to be here. They're not like, to hell with your show or something like that. They're just doing what they should do for themselves and for their union. So let's give it up for them. We hope that they crush their overlords like Netflix. Speaking of Netflix, but I'm not going to be alone here on the panel, kids. I'm one of the panel members. I'm quasi-moderating, but you're going to have three of us to talk to, and the three of us kind of make up the three pillars of Fraternia, if you will. The three of us have been working on the show since the beginning. We worked on Revelation. We're now working on Revolution as well. So I'm going to bring them out to you, and I have to look at the paper to read some of their credits because they've got a lot. Like with me, it's like he made Clerks. With these cats, they've got a lot going for them, man. Our first guest, or one of our three panelists today, has been a TV exec for a long time, and he's living out his geek dreams. He's previously overseen such fan-favorite animated series as G.I. Joe Renegades and 3 different Transformers series. On the live-action front, he's brought us shows like Umbrella Academy, Sweet Tooth, a show that unfortunately died and nobody saw, called Wednesday, and the upcoming live-action One Piece. And of course, he's one of the EPs on Masters of the Universe Revelation. Give it up for Teddy Biaselli.
They're from the crowd. It's all right. It's all right.
Our next guest is one of the other 3 towers, man. Along with me and Teddy, he has been a writer, producer for animation for shows like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and comics such as He-Man, The Eternity War, and He-Man vs. Thundercats. For Mattel, he's worked on bringing cartoons to life for Monster High, Hot Wheels, Magic 8 Ball, and of course, Motu, as showrunner of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, our sister cartoon, the one that nobody had a problem with on the internet. And he's an EP of Masters of the Universe Revelation and Revolution as well. Give it up for our good friend and partner, Rob Davis. So at this point, since it's just the 3 of us, I'm not going to rock the podium. I'm just going to join the boys at the table and keep this kind of informal. We're going to use this as a therapy session. And we're going to talk about what's coming forward. So bear with me when I move over there. Meantime, tell them what they got to look forward to as I make the trek from here to there. Go ahead. Let's start with Rob.
We can look forward to.
I'm here. I'm ready.
Ken Smith.
Oh my God, what are those?
Those are us.
We're in the show as well?
Yeah, we're like in the background of the final fight. We survived the fight, apparently. Maybe we got killed.
Survivors?
That was great. I believe my character gets killed right away and is replaced by Tila.
Wait till you see my hair in season 2. Not only a client.
So Revolution. What do we have for you? Well, we have He-Man versus Skeletor.
Yeah, contrary to the rumors of his death are greatly exaggerated. He-Man is back and is in.
To be fair, He-Man never left. He was like absent for 3 shows, but like you don't do a show called Masters of the Universe and kill off your main guy. You know, he was gone for a moment, but never gone. I mean, we kept Adam in the loop and stuff. But he was in every episode we did of Revelation. Correct?
It's going to be hard for you, isn't it?
It's so hard.
But we're really we're upping the stakes. We're doubling down on the personal drama that rages inside both, Adam and his issues and Skeletor and his issues, and he has a whole bunch of them, and making it central to the 5-episode arc, and we're progressing the story forward for both of them in kind of hugely epic, which is an overused word, but it really is the only word that you can really use to describe Motu sometimes. And anchoring He-Man is the great Chris Wood. I mean, he's so amazing at bringing both the humanity of Adam and the strength of He-Man.
Hold up. Before we go further, I think that's a huge spoiler, and we should talk about it. In this series, He-Man fights Skeletor? Is that
Like shocker. Several times.
Twice, 2 massive big battles.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things we should talk about Chris a little bit, because I don't know if any people know this story or not. But when we were casting Revelation, this guy said, "I know who our He-Man is. I know who our He-Man is. It's Chris Wood." And Rob and I were like, "Okay, well he'll audition, right?" And Kevin was like, "No, he'll audition. It's Chris Wood." And I think when we heard his read, it was one of those transcendental moments where it's like, oh my God, that's the 21st century He-Man. Like John Irwin, when you close your eyes, you hear John Irwin. He's He-Man. There's something so magical about his voice. But Chris brought a lot of that tone, the kindness that He-Man had from the classic series. That there's a sweetness to He-Man and a smile. There's always a smile in John Irwin's voice. Chris has that too. He never wavers from the inner glee about being He-Man. He likes being He-Man. Not just Chris, but Adam likes being He-Man too. And that's one of his stories for Revolution, is how much he really enjoys being He-Man, and when that's put to the test,
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because for so long in the classic story it was a secret that Prince Adam was actually He-Man, and the secret is out from Revelation. So when we start the story, there's the love of his father, the king, who now knows the truth about his son, and they are reconciled. But now there's this new question, which is the duties of the scepter and the crown versus the obligations and the duties of the sword, the champion. And Adam was always defined as a hero. One of the things that we really wanted to explore in the first one is that he was always able to give up the power. And he alone was worthy to be He-Man, because at the end of every battle he would give up the sword and go back to being Adam. But as Adam, he actually has a power that's with him all the time, and that's the crown. And so what is his obligation? Can he be both the monarch and the champion at the same time?
Can he?
I don't know.
What I enjoy most about working on the show is listening to these two dudes talk fervently with passion about these characters. Like when I first met with Rob came over to my house. I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement because they were like, Mattel wants to talk to you about something. And I was like, free toys. And, which I'm still waiting for. And so once I signed a piece of paper, he was like, we would like to talk to you about Masters of the Universe. And I was like, oh, my lord. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Masters of the Universe. And so when Rob kind of started talking about what they wanted to accomplish with the animated series, and it had to be kind of a spiritual sequel series to the original, the light in his eyes, like, just sparked up. This was somebody who has worked with the characters in some of their best stories in print. He was keeping the Master's flame lit for a while in the comic pages. So, I remember after we had our first meeting, I was like, why don't you write it? Like, you sound like you're very passionate about this. And he's like, for some reason, he liked the Daredevil series that I'd done for Marvel years ago. Because I was like, I made Clerks, and it's not like, you don't watch Clerks and go like, yeah, He-Man, I get it. Like, so, but it was the Daredevil story that made him go like, I think you would be good for this material. So then he introduced me to Teddy. I had to go into Netflix and essentially pitch as well. And I'll never forget, one of the first things that Teddy talked about, like after I said, well, this is how I see it, and this is what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. Teddy was like, look, I've loved this franchise, these characters, these action figures, for my entire childhood. And he has a picture of himself very young that he carries around, ironically. And it's with all of his Motu stuff as a kid. And he was like, what I always dreamed about was somebody would just do this story very seriously. He's like, I know some characters are goofy and have weird names and stuff, but he's like, I always felt like these characters were really strong, and the idea that somebody would treat them seriously, let them make grown-up decisions, have fights with meaning, let them clash swords even, something that like they didn't really do in the cartoon, the Filmation version. He was like, that's what I'm kind of hoping for. And he goes, the only thing I ask is that you treat the characters with dignity and respect. Like, let them grow up. And I was like, can we kill him? And he goes, well, hold on. But he said this thing, and I take it with me whenever we work on the show. He goes, just play them like it's Shakespeare. He's like, for once I would like to see somebody treat the characters like classical characters, not just toys or IP. And those were our marching orders going forward. So to sit here with these cats and listen to them speak about these characters, listen to them just talk about Adam, or how it's with childlike wonder, and they're both still like grown-ass men, but they still carry the affection for the characters in their hearts, man. Give it up for the boys.
Right back at you. You are the total joy to work with. Honestly, everybody on the entire team, the writers, all the animators at Powerhouse, everybody at Mattel, they adore Kevin. I mean, he brings such joy to every meeting, and he's infectious.
It's the audience that doesn't enjoy Kevin. People we're working with, right? Let's talk about the guys that aren't here though, who are really the unsung heroes of our whole first season and our upcoming season as well. Our directors, Patrick and Adam, who are absolutely wonderful, and like they were not Motu kids growing up. They're too young. They knew the characters, they knew the world and stuff. But they're fantastic animators, and when we came to them with the story, they delved deep and learned everything. And so by the end of the series, they were actually hitting us with themes and
historians.
Oh.
Like Adam went so deep into this world. And in the book, you guys talk.
Patrick, they created their own language. Patrick made his own He-Man language. He can speak it.
Yeah, he can. One of the things we should talk about, when I did say that to you, one of the things that stuck with me when I was a kid, as formative as, the revelation in Empire Strikes Back, Luke, I am your father, was the episode, Teela's Quest, when you find out that Teela is the daughter of the sorceress, which goes on to the Crystal Sea, Oracle Crystal Sea, and everything like that.
Written by
Paul
Dini was involved with them.
and then I think, and in that story was such a promise of depth and richness for sort of like where this is going to go. And because 1983, it was 65 episode syndication, they got to air at any time in any given arrangement. There wasn't truly the capabilities to do serialization.
There was no continuity.
There was no continuity.
Yeah.
Even though there's a couple episodes that do all connect, there's a couple episodes that have some arc where characters come back. Malik, Teela's old boyfriend, it's not my boyfriend, comes back a couple of times, and Kothos comes back a couple of times, and they track his evolution. So there is some sort of arcs to it, but we never got the promise of Teela. So when we talked about this early on, Rob and I, what did we want to do? And when we talk about the unfinished storylines of the classic era, it was, of all of Adam's closest allies, the one that didn't know his secret was Teela. And we always, there was always this will they, won't they relationship between Teela and Adam. Adam and Teela were friends. Teela and He-Man maybe a bit more. It was never truly developed, but there was always the hints of it. And we wanted to sort of dig into those promises and what that meant. And I think now that we've gotten through, and by the way, if Teela was going to become the sorceress, the Teela from the classic era was, she was pertinent, she was a little headstrong, she was a little, aggressive maybe, and I think she wasn't ready to become a sorceress, and she needed to go on a journey in order to understand what that mantle meant.
Yeah.
And I think that now that all that is out of the way, now we can see it.
And they both do. That's amazing.
They both do.
The thing that we're always trying to zero in on this is that, if it is a serialized story, it really is this coming of age story for both of them, Adam and Teela, who grew up together as kindred spirits, and they're both mirroring each other in the sense that they're both in a position of stepping into the shoes of their parents. Adam with Randor the King, and Teela with her mom, the sorceress, and they're going through that together. And everybody in this room can relate to that thing where you grow up, and then you try to reconcile how you're going to honor your parents, but also forge your own path. And the fact is, they're doing that together, hand in hand. They've been doing that since they were kids, and now they're doing it with their eyes both wide open about each other and the world.
And that's the other thing. When you have characters and there's a big secret between them, you don't want to build a romance between characters when there's a secret between them. Now that that's out of the way, it leaves us a little runway for where that dynamic can go, and how appropriate that Teela for season 2 will be played by
and Melissa and Kevin. I want to say that Kevin. Before we get to Melissa, she's amazing. And Kevin was also brilliant casting. But I remember, Kevin, when we were talking about the story in Revelation, that you really did. You really got into all those characters' mindsets and all of what that's one of the reasons why we're so happy to have you be leading the charge here, is because you bring such emotional depth to these characters. And Melissa was such a great add and find.
And she's a rich sorceress. I think that there's something really, because she's still trying to figure it out too. She's got the pressures of being the sorceress, the current drama of what's going on that we're not going to spoil for you here, but what's weighing on her shoulders, and also she's also investing in Adam and He-Man and how he's figuring into all of this. So we're really seeing the dynamic between the two of them is going to be very interesting this season.
This season we lean into their will they, won't they relationship a little bit, or a lot of it. And having Melissa and Chris play the parts was kind of cool because they're married in real life. Ironically, no chemistry whatsoever. So we killed off his character again.
The new entity?
Yeah, I think we should.
So Obviously, things are a little different than we had originally planned for this panel, but we are going to make a cast announcement for.
Oh, really? You're gonna jump there right away? Let's blow the actors a little more. If we
All right, sure. I'm down for that.
Melissa, of course, I've worked with on. I got to direct a few episodes of Supergirl, and and she was give it up for good folks who made it. I was just there once or twice. She's such a wonderful actress, and you know she had to step into shoes that were pretty large to begin with. We had Sarah all through season 1, who was absolutely wonderful, and so to jump on and kind of take the reins of the character is a little intimidating, but she more than rose to the occasion. But it is adorable watching those two act opposite one another. It's kind of sweet. If they were here, we would have made them make out in front of us. But instead, Teddy and Rob will make out.
Go to the next.
I look how you took off your glasses. Bob left his firmly on.
I didn't want them to steam up.
And they said our show was too boring. There are some casting surprises this year because we've added some new characters. We have characters that came over from last season who are getting larger arcs. Who are still alive. Who are getting larger arcs this season as well. The Revolution is a sequel to Revelation. We should say that. They're very connected. It's not like Porky's 2 the next day, but it's very dependent on deep cuts reference. I know. It's very dependent on what happened in season 1, and in many ways responds to season 1. You know, believe me, like we all loved Revelation. Some of the audience did not, and some of the audience was very vocal about what they didn't like. And the beautiful thing is, in telling our story, we were able to be like, all right, well, let's go there.
That's what they want.
Yeah,
That's what they want.
Yeah, let's, you know, at the end of the day, we were very interested in fan service in Revelation. You know, and some of the fans didn't feel serviced. And so we put on our knee pads this season and we are servicing. Big time, kids. So we
Looking at the Mattel executive.
let me tell you, it is, you know, what we aside from the He-Man and Skeletor fight in every damn episode, we actually bring in other characters from the universe. We thought we had a bunch in Revelation. Naturally, the bench for Masters of the Universe is very long. So this season, we're bringing in some other characters. Now we should talk about
Yes.
you guys.
So if you remember the way the post-credit scene of Revelation ended, it was a reveal that the god that Triclops was worshiping, the altar motherboard, was actually an entity, and she transformed in front of everyone. She began to infect Skeletor with her techno abilities, and then the last shot was a beacon for the Horde.
So we decided to not use the Horde at all, and instead do something that would really irritate the internet. No, we were working on that from by the end of season 1. We knew going into season 2 that it was going to be not just He-Man versus Skeletor, but also Skeletor versus an old friend. Shall we throw the clip? Let's watch that. Has that amazing singular voice? That's right, it's the president from Rick and Morty. Give it up for the great Keith Davis. There wasn't much of a discussion about who to go to for Hordak. instantly Keith David was the kind of name choice. He does a snort here or two.
Oh, there's a snort. Or 4, 5, yeah.
But generally speaking, that's what he sounds like. And the character design matches that amazing voice. He's a big part of our show this season. And as we said before, it's not just He-Man versus Skeletor, it's He-Man versus Skeletor and Hordak, and Skeletor to some degree,
yes,
versus Hordak.
Yes.
Oh yes, in a big way.
So if you thought we were woke before, there's a threesome this season, kids.
It is a dysfunctional, evil family between Motherboard and Hordak and the parental roles and Skeletor and their angry child. Keith David really embraced this and loved this, and he compared it, to kind of Shakespearean roles he's played, and just in terms of the heft and the gravity of the character and the richness of his role in this world as kind of the Nosferatu of the galaxy, the warlord of an entire empire that spans galaxies, and he's been playing chess, with Eternia for a long time, and he's about to make his winning move in this series.
Excellent way to put it. Also, something you probably picked up in that theme, or in some of the themes you probably picked up in that clip, is this notion of magic versus technology. That is a big theme this season. The concept of Motherboard being sort of a technological sort of right hand to Hordak, which is something he hasn't had in other iterations of Motu. There's always been Hordak, and the Horde is very industrial, very technological, but he's always had sort of a right hand that dabbles in magic, and that's gone. Magic, after everything that happened in the Cataclysm, magic...
He didn't get his return on it.
Yeah, he did not get his return on investment, so he put all his chips down on technology, and for the first time, Hordak's got a little bit of a leg up here. And that's where sort of, everything starts to shift between Hordak and Skeletor, and how the Horde takes their grasp of Eternia. But the struggle between magic and technology is not as easy as you think it is. And in fact, sometimes the solution may be the melding of both.
Spoiler.
What? What did I say?
It is, it's doing the Hordak and the Evil Horde was wicked. The boys, once again, Pat and Adam are directors. Whenever we do an action sequence, we don't write out every beat of the action sequence. It's not fully described. Basically, the boys told us early on, when it comes to the action, that's kind of what we excel at. So just give us a vague idea of where you want it to go, and just write the words "fighty fight." And so throughout this new season, we wrote "fighty fight" an awful lot, and our directors absolutely delivered. Wait until you see some of the battles that they put together. And since we're talking about so it's going to be Skeletor versus Hordak, there is a Skeletor-Hordak fight that's phenomenal and mind-bending.
If you guys like the fight in season 1 between Savage He-Man and Skelegod, the Hordak Skeletor fight is on that level.
And there are lots of fights this season. With a title like Revolution, it is all about a constant fight and struggle and stuff. And so, they did a fantastic job. You know who else does a fantastic job, kids? Is Griffin Newman, who played our Orko last season. And he returns as Orko this season, as you can see, as you remember from the events of Revelation. Like every character, we killed him, and then he came back, and he's Orko the White now. Far more powerful Orko than he ever was. Gone are the puns and all the silliness and whatnot. Now he's just metal as fuck. Griffin, I want to give him a shout out. Even if we were doing, I don't think he was meant to be on the panel because he's a New York kid. He's coming out?
He was coming.
Netflix was going to pay money. Griffin one of the things I always found incredibly charming about his performance of Orko was he can do it live. Like the original voice of Orko was, of course, Lou. And Lou recorded, and then they pitched his voice up, in After Effects and stuff. But when Griffin
wasn't After Effects in 1980
back then, yeah. But when Griffin came in, Griffin did the voice without. We don't sweeten it. It's not modulated. We don't turn it up or anything like that. It's not pitched. That's Griffin doing it, and his logic was really sweet. He was just like, if I get this job and kids know that I'm Orko, I want to be able to do Orko right in front of them. Because Lou, God bless him, if kids were like, "You're Orko, be Orko," he'd be like, "Hi, I'm Orko." His voice didn't really sound like Orko, but Griffin can turn it on just like that.
And he's such a fan. He's such
a massive fan. He lobbied hard for that
He
job.
lobbied for that. I think he emailed all of us independently and was just like, "So you might not know me, but my name is Griffin, and I'm a real big fan." And he was just, and not only did he lobby to be a part of the show, he lobbied to be Orko.
Yeah.
Yes, specifically.
And to be perfectly honest, it was really anybody's game. He earned it.
Yeah.
He earned it. It wasn't like, oh,
And
I wanted to be.
he saw in Orko what Orko fans always saw, because Orko is one of those divisive characters that a lot of people don't like him. And he saw that right away that Orko. No, but Orko is the child archetype. He looks at everyone with that wonderment, and Griffin just got that, and then just brought it home. And really, I think it's one of my favorite versions of Orko. I'm trying to, I'm not biased about it, but I think I just love it. I love that the relationship that he and Lynn had, and Tim Sheridan, who's in the audience here, wrote some great stuff between the two characters. That crack in her armor that Orko, brought out on her.
Orko gets a different foil in Revolution, much aligned to the theme of magic and technology. Orko may have someone that he plays against quite a bit this season. And if you go down to the Mattel booth after this panel, you'll see who that is in the new action figure that's going to be in there.
Yeah, we're not telling you here because we want to drive you to the Mattel booth. So yeah, once the panel's done, you go down there and see another character addition this year. And it's, if you know the Motu, the entire world of Motu, it's going to be quite pleasing. It's a big surprise, and it's also a very cool ad for the show. But yeah, Orko's got a frenemy. Yeah, and they have a kind of 48 hours vibe to them. But Orko, when we were doing Revelation, that was one of the first writers' room we did. We talked about the problem of Orko. Some people love him and some people absolutely hate him, and he was their least favorite part of the original Masters of the Universe, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. So our idea was how do we make Orko cool enough that someone would want to get an Orko tattoo? And he's got that amazing scene in Revelation where he takes on Scareglow and the very powers of hell himself. Twice. And it did result in our writers' dreams coming true. No bullshit. I have met 5 people with Orko tattoos since our show aired, and it's our Orko, man. So I'm happy, and that has everything to do with Griffin's performance.
Yeah,
he really committed to it. And Griffin is actually he's a wonderful actor, but funny, legit funny dude. He does this amazing podcast called The Blank Check.
Yeah,
about
that's great.
Movies and stuff like that. But even outside of that, he does the George Lucas talk show. He's a man of many talents and stuff. But he's not a man at arms. Our man at arms this season, we set up at the end of last season, is the returning Tiffany Smith playing Andra. Andra was our way in for an audience unfamiliar with Motu last season. Somebody who had heard the stories and whatnot. A lot of the story kind of got put through her point of view of dealing with these gods and legends, so to speak. So Andra, by the end of last season, we saw her kind of elevated to Man at Arms, and as you saw in the opening clip, she's taken that role. Man at Arms has taken another role. Are we going to
Duncan has taken another.
Duncan has taken.
Yeah, doesn't mean Duncan's gone.
Oh, Duncan's back.
Oh, no.
I know we're not supposed to spoil shit. So now Duncan he's gone from Man at Arms to Man of War. And his suit is so fucking badass. But so that leaves Andra as our Man at Arms. And Tiffany Smith, who crushed it last season as Andra, returns this season as well. And her character isn't so much the way in for the audience now. Now she's a part of the team.
Yeah, she's kind of the Q branch of the attorney.
Very much so. She's the one, you saw that ship, the Cloud Crusher, the opening clip. She's the one that develops the tech now at this point.
And again, to go back to the theme, a character whose focus has been technology, and we set that up in Revelation too, that she was the engineer, and she designed the tech and stuff like that. This season, that comes into play, and at some point, maybe she does something that is, instrumental in how the Horde takes control. Maybe she's got a way in. Maybe she's got a way to defend ourselves. But there's an element of her that is utilized to great effect that we set up early on. So.
Yeah, and on all the people in Eternos that she's working with, they're kind of her family now, and she really wants to honor them and do great things. I will spoil that she has a lot of great scenes with William Shatner. We won't tell you who William Shatner is playing, but she has a lot of great scenes with him.
You guys are all like, who's William Shatner?
We can't tell you, but I can tell you this. William Shatner has scenes with Mark Hamill, so Luke Skywalker and Captain Kirk act opposite one another.
And he's done talking now. This one's special for me. So Motherboard came out. I don't know, did we ever tell the story about Motherboard?
No,
The existence of Motherboard?
We hinted at it.
No, not her character.
Oh, that's
like,
her.
Okay, so one of our writers, Dia Mishra, came up with the Triclops cult. Like, she was like, when Skeletor leaves, Triclops is the one. He's the sort of he's the kind of man at arms for the bad guys, right? That was sort of started in the 2000X series, and she was like, he would say, to hell with magic, technology wins. And she wrote this thing where he starts the technical, and they worship something called Motherboard. And it's this kind of like existential concept. And I called Rob one day, and I was like, all right, I got a crazy idea. Don't hate me. But Motherboard sounds like a toy from 1983, from the Motu line. It sounds like a figure, like Buzz-Off, Whiplash, Motherboard. And I'm like, what if Motherboard isn't a concept? What if it's a thing? And what if the thing that they're worshiping is actually, it's there the whole time, hidden in plain sight. And it's an anti-sorceress, it's a technological sorceress. And what if it's hidden inside Screech? And Rob was, and there's this dead silence on the phone. All right. That's Rob. All right.
Well, it's really great because, as everyone knows, the biggest, one of the biggest tenets, the DNA of Motu is magic versus technology. And we've seen technology personified before, whether it's been Man at Arms or Trapjaw or Triclops, but to have technology embodied in something that is like the polar opposite personification that magic is, it's personified by the sorceress, which is terrific. So it's a great idea, and to have Meg Foster play her as Evelyn herself, just a complete joy.
She's so good. Every word swirls around in her mouth. She's amazing.
Have you seen the figure yet?
Oh.
The figure, like in our series, Motherboard is not the size of everyone else. She's gigantic. So they made this like gigantic figure. Where can they get that?
Downstairs at the Mattel, at the Mattel Creations booth.
We have an amazing toy design team, and they just completely knocked it out of the park. It's really just amazing, and I love Motherboard because the Eternia's history is so rich and eternal, That like she's basically, you know, there was a time before magic reigned supreme when technology reigned supreme, and when it was her time to shine. And now, you know, she's more than happy to help try to knock magic off its pedestal and return it to the good old days. So there's just such richness to explore with her character.
That's a real deep dive in, I think was it the Dogma Blue Bible that talked about Eternia was once a great technological paradise before it was bounced back to the barbarian age, and then technology slowly crept back in.
Man, Duncan's was the only guy who knew how to like repair the old broken down like attack traps, because magic is now like reigned supreme. So it's really the spirit of this is like we're really trying to have this be a follow-up to all of the classic lore, and we do some really deep dives on this, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another bad guy, our classic bad guy. We got to look at him in action in his new appearance. Let's talk about Skeletor, played by the great Mark Hamill. Give it up. We put Mark's voice through the ringer, man. He's always given a workout whenever he's in front of the mic, because he just gives it his all. There's no phoning it in for Mark Hamill. He leaves it all on the microphone, spittle and everything. And he matched, his performance had to match, as you can see, the new look of Skeletor, the motherboard enhanced techno look of Skeletor. And Mark, of course, more than up for the challenge. He did an amazing job last season. This season, even more so, because we do some really interesting stuff with Skeletor. Let's talk about his giant arm real quick.
Well, he's gotten a little bit of a glow up. I mean, he's
Literally, he glows.
Yeah, I mean, he has been put through the techno ringer and come out as a new version of himself, which I think He-Man gives calls him Skeletech.
Spoilers, yes, he does.
Yeah, which you can also go see him, I think, in the hotel.
Oh yeah, that figure is probably being put in the booth in about 5 minutes.
So is that right? So they put some, because I saw pictures of like the battle damage.
Teal and Battle Armor He-Man are in there, and then when you go down there, there'll be 3 new figures down there.
So Skeletech is one of them. Mm-hmm. And then the other guy that we haven't mentioned, that's a surprise.
And another.
It's the Havoc staff is incorporated into his body this time, as you can see. So he's no longer just carrying it; it's now fused to him as well.
Which symbolizes sort of like, again, and I'm a broken record, a theme of magic and technology and the commingling of it. But what Skeletor is racking with is within himself. He's been told failure over and over and over again, and he starts to blame magic for it. So the Havoc staff is sort of like a brand, and there's a resentment to it. So he sort of internally is giving himself over to technology, and that may not be the best course of action for Skeletor. So he's trying to rack with some internal things as well.
It's funny, he and Tila and Adam, they're having this kind of like parallel arcs where they're both, you know, in his case, he's got Hordak in that kind of parental, not literal in this case, but parental figure. And he, like the others, is struggling in his own more terrifying way with how is he going to kind of make himself into his own person. So, Skeletor, he's not going to be on a bended knee, where he's not going to for very long. So it's so rich, and Mark just loves it.
See, this is not me throwing anybody under the bus, but like when Revelation came out, a lot of people like Kevin Smith's He-Man. As you can see, this is a triumvirate. Like, these dudes have deep roots in the material and care. Teddy's not just our boss at Netflix. He's a co-author of the piece. Rob is not just our boss at Mattel, also a co-author of the piece. And it's made it such a richer experience because of it. Believe me, you wouldn't want to see the Kevin Smith alone version of Masters of the Universe. Thankfully, we have 2 longtime hardcore fans who go deep with everything, with every character. And it's not, when you saw a few new characters kind of get introduced in the opening sequence that we showed you, classic characters, everyone was given like serious thought and consideration to who we bring to the table. Which toys are we going to pull out of the toy box to introduce this time around? And for me, I generally work by myself. It's so nice to work with other people, and also, we've got other writers on the show. The aforementioned Tim Sheridan, who's here. Dia also worked on an episode this season as well. So I'm not dodging a bullet here. I just always want to give credit where credit's due, and you hear it in their voices when they talk about. I'm the glib one that makes jokes. These cats are like so serious about this world, man. So I want to thank you boys both for bringing as much love to Masters of the Food. What? I know we're not. When can they see Revolution, roughly?
We're on track to be early 24. Pretty early in 24. No, yes. Yeah, early 24.
We're not allowed to say that.
Yes. That's what it comes down to. But when does Geek Tweak happen on Netflix?
Later this fall. Still moving.
So I imagine there might be a lot of information.
There may be something showing up around then.
All right. Just a real quick straw poll. How many people liked Revelation? Put your hands together. And we're all big kids here, we can handle it. And again, we're just playing with these toys, right? And it's not to say we own these toys whatsoever.
We do not.
How many people did not like Revelation? Put your hands together.
Oh, come on.
You fucking liar. I took a lot of shit online. Somebody better clap right now. There you go. There you are.
That's fine. And that's absolutely fine. And I think part of this is, we are temporary custodians of this brand. We love it. We hope that people saw that there was love in there. If you didn't, someone else will be a custodian of this, and they will do something that you will like, or you won't, and we'll be sitting there and we'll like it, or we won't. That's what this is about. It's about sharing stuff. It's about talking about it, and it's about seeing, the evolution of this thing. Something as great as Motu is bigger than Rob. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than Kevin, and it's going to live on, and it's going to have many iterations. God, we hope that people will love it for the next 40 years. That's what it is.
To that point, it was kept alive by you, by the
Yes.
fans. I mean, it's really unbelievable. When I started at Mattel, I told her before that I went and I read all the Bibles from every previous incarnation of the show, and then it quickly became apparent to me that there was another unofficial Bible, which is all the fan community's conversation about it. Like I just went onto the He-Man.org and other stuff, and just the amount of passion and intelligence and thinking from the fans, and that's what really kept it alive. Absolutely, and believe me, everybody at Mattel knows that and appreciates that. Everybody at Mattel knows that without you guys, we wouldn't be here at all. So thank you.
And we've also, I've heard somebody go, for He-Man.org. He-Man.org was an invaluable resource for the making of both Revelation and Revolution. And that's fantastic.
There are people in this room that I met on He-Man.org 15 years ago, and we're still friends. And I think that it was instrumental in the dark times before 2000X, when there was nothing going on with the brand between New Adventures and 2000X. And then after 2000X, and by the way, when 2000X started, there was a lot of similar sort of, conversation about what they loved about the show and what they didn't like about the show. And in hindsight, 2000X is beloved now. And I think time has a way of having people embrace things. And I think 20 years from now, I think Revelation will have that. And I think and whatever version of Motu is coming out then, I think will be the same kind of discourse. And I think that's good. That is good.
The using He-Man.org, it wasn't the only resource. going into Revolution, like, we used everybody's reaction, good and bad.
Yep.
And it was, you know, believe me, it's always nice to deal with the good when people see what you're trying to accomplish and stuff. But we also, like, we didn't stick our heads in the sand over, you know, the folks that were not happy. You know, a lot of people would like to dismiss the people who are unhappy, you know, as one group or whatnot. But it was a lot of nuanced hate. You know, it wasn't just flat out, we hate this because we hate it. There were people that legitimately did not like the direction, like not because they felt it was too woke or political or something like that, but just didn't like what we did with the characters. And that was all taken into consideration as we went into Revolution. So,
I think, and just
thank you is what I meant to say. Like, good and bad. Like, you made this show better going into the new season. And I love what we did in the last season, but we were able to improve upon it based on feedback. Your feedback meant everything, not just the numbers that you tuned in to watch that allowed us to get to a season 2 and stuff, but also the things you said in discourse, like all the lovely tweets people sent me, and all the horrible tweets, which I'll read right now.
thank you so much for coming.
So you guys are, and gals, I mean, you folks, you kids, are not just the audience, like, you're part of the experience. You're, to some degree, co-authors. So remember that. If you don't like Revolution, it's your fucking fault as well.
Just remember, you have the power.
Yes. Oh, what a beautiful way to end it. Or we can do one more. There's a, oh man, this kid's sleeping right there. Yeah, is that, how old is that kid? She's 8? She loves the show, but she fell asleep, just like my mother. Good morning, how are you? We saw you taking a little nap, so we've been talking about you for the last 20 minutes. We need your help. Can you join us real quick? Sleepy? Come on up here.
Come on up.
Who's up this way? There's a staircase right over here.
I was sleeping too.
Hi. What's your name? Come over here, talking to the mic. What's your name? Everyone say hi to Brinkley. Brinkley, do you know what this is? Yes. It's a sword. It is that's right, it's He-Man's sword. We want you to take it. No, not for good, just for now.
What?
But we want you to take it and we want you to close us out of the panel by saying the immortal words that He-Man speaks at all times. I'm going to hold the mic as close to you as possible. You look at you're being directed now by a pretty famous director. And you're wearing the same expression as Ben Affleck does. What you want to do is you want to look out right at that audience. You can't see, right, because the lights are on and stuff, so it's not intimidating at all. Raise the sword and say the very famous line. You know what the very famous line is?
That goes everything.
You gotta say, I have to, you know, all right. No, God, you are like Affleck. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna hold the mic for you, and then you belt it out as loud as you can, and that's how we're gonna end the panel. You feel good about this? You can do this quickly. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, Brinkley is going to take us home on the count of 3. Now remember, the sword goes way high, and then you say the line. And I'm not looking for Affleck, I want Damon. Just get it. Here we go. You know who those 2 boys are? Affleck and Damon? Too old? Here we go. Raising it high on the count of 3, and belting out that very famous line. And say it to that, don't say it to me. The camera's that way. Not looking at me, look at that. Here we go, count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
I have the I